Well, we're getting light showers in parts of the region at the moment. We have 16 degrees. Environment Canada is telling us we can expect a high today of about 22 degrees, but there is a little tinge of fall in the air. I have to say, little tinge of fall in the air today. I'm feeling it. Maybe it's the combination of the cooler temperatures and the rain. Not sure. Right now, we are talking on CJAD 800 about the Camillien-Houde Parkway project. It was controversial, I think, from the get-go when the Plante administration proposed closing off the eastern slope access to the top of Mount Royal to private car traffic and reserving it for pedestrian and bike paths, that type of thing. It was sent to consultation. The Consultation Bureau said, no, don't close it off to traffic. Don't block traffic across the mountain. The Plante administration decided to ignore that recommendation. Now, Valérie Plante's replacement as head of the party has decided that the project is going to be tweaked, that indeed some vehicle traffic will be allowed on that access road in the form of a shuttle bus. His preference, Luc Rabouin, is for an electric shuttle bus. And as a result of having to redesign the roadway to accommodate all those different users, the project is going to be delayed. But according to the union representing City of Montreal and municipal engineers, this project really was ill-fated from the start. Here to explain why, we welcome the president of the Association des scientifiques et ingénieurs de Montréal, Gisella Gesuale. Welcome to CJAD.
Hi, how are you?
I am fine. Why do you argue that this project was problematic right out of the gate?
Well, for a couple of reasons. The first thing, the preliminary study was not even complete before the city went out to tender for the plans and construction documents that are needed. And then as we go along not only that, but as we move along forward, the elected people just keep adding new things and keep adding changes that were not foreseen in the preliminary studies, where the city had paid $1.1 million to have these preliminary studies done. So like Luc Rabouin had said, we're going to definitely have an electric shuttle bus, but that wasn't in the first plan. So we're going to have to go back to square one and even see if that's possible. And considering the size of the road, I don't see what more gain we're going to be getting in terms of biodiversity, which was the initial reason that the elected people gave in order to support this project.
Why is the union representing municipal engineers coming out at this time to make that declaration?
I've been a president of this union for about a year and a half, almost 2 years, and there's a lot of things that we're seeing where we feel that the money of the citizens of Montreal is not being well spent. So we just want Montrealers to get the most for their buck, and the way things are going right now, we're not seeing it. So we feel that the Montrealers have a right to know what's really going on and how their money is being spent.
Are you in negotiations right now? Do you have a valid contract at the moment?
No, we do not. We are in negotiations right now, but it has nothing to do with negotiations. It has to do with the fact that I was born and raised in Montreal. I pay taxes on a yearly basis, and when I see money being thrown like this and things being done backwards, I feel obliged to share my information and make sure the rest of Montrealers know what's going on so they can make better decisions in the future.
I would imagine as well that when a project is put together and then withdrawn, and it must rankle the municipal engineers who've worked on it, because the implication could be some people might be concluding, well, you didn't do your job correctly, and this project now has problems and it's all your fault. Our money is going down the tubes. Is that a consideration as well, that it's calling your members into disrepute?
Well, the thing is that I would have loved to say that my members got to work on this preliminary studies, but it's been a new pattern of the city for the last couple of years where they decide to use external engineering firms to do work like this. So this preliminary study was being done by CIMA Plus, They got a contract of $1.1 million to design, to do the preliminary design of this, which did not include the shuttle bus. These firms are billed on an hourly rate. So now that they have to add a shuttle bus, for them, you want a shuttle bus? No problem. We'll bill you more hours. We'll go back to square one. We'll have to start again and see how we're going to fit it in, because the width of the road is a certain width. So for them, it's actually going to cost the city more every time they make changes. And right now, the way I see the city working is that they're trying to patch. Instead of having it done properly from the beginning and having taken the time to maybe reflect a bit better, they're just trying to patch the project. So it's going to end up costing the city more. And unfortunately, the city doesn't choose the internal engineers to work on these projects. They prefer to go with external companies, which are billed on an hourly rate.
How many municipal engineers does Montreal have?
575, around, more or less.
That's a lot of engineers. Why would the city not entrust a project like this to your members? What's going on there? Why these expensive outside firms?
Your guess is as good as mine, and what's really also mind-boggling, I think the study of Iris also stated it, which was a study that was done back in May, that when the city goes externally, it costs the city 3 to 4 times more on an hourly rate than it would an internal engineer. So your guess is as good as ours. We have asked the administrators. I have had the opportunity to meet with upper administrators and discuss with them, but they haven't. Your guess is as good as mine. All I know is that right now the Montrealers are not getting the most for their buck. The city outsources a lot, like a humongous percentage of their contracts to engineering firms. The hourly rate, it's on an hourly basis, so it's not on a, hey, you do me the Camillien-Houde and it's going to cost this much. It's, okay, you bill us per hour that you work on the project. So obviously these projects easily go out of control, and obviously these projects will end up costing more, because every time there's a correction or a change, the city has to pay. So the Montrealers are not getting the most for their buck, and your guess is as good as mine.
In your professional opinion, how far back on the drawing board does this project now have to go? Do we have to redo all the studies and the consultations again, or can we start from an interim point so we don't waste more money?
We have to go back, I would believe, to square one, which was back to at least the preliminary design study, which cost the city $1.1 million. We have to remember the road is between 9 to 16 meters. We want to have a bike path, a designated bike path. We want to have a designated pedestrian path. We want to have an electric shuttle bus, which the STM doesn't have. We need a lane also for the emergency, like the fire trucks, etc. And the road is just so big. So in my opinion, we're going to have to go back to the preliminary design study that cost the city $1.1 million. And that will be done within the contract that was given to Sigma Plus in partnership with the architect firm Lemay to try to integrate all these desires that the political elected people are saying that they need or they want right now.
It did strike me as odd that there was no emergency vehicle access incorporated into the. You would think that you'd at least want police and fire to be able to access from that side of the city. Yes, the other side will remain open, but from that side, what if the chalet up at Beaver Lake catches fire? Don't you want a lot of trucks there really fast?
No, I don't understand. That's what I mean by things weren't done weren't done by looking at the big picture. It was brought to my attention that the fire stations told me that a lot of times right now they use the path that is available to them because they share equipment. So they go, through the mountain on the other side, bring the equipment to another fire station that needs it, and back and forth. Now these, firemen, when they have to respond, it's an emergency 911. They don't have time to go around the mountain and, figure out how we're going to get the equipment quickly to the other fire station, especially with all the construction that's going around the mountain. And the other thing that's very alarming and a bit discouraging is that the east side of Montreal will no longer have access to the mountain directly.
Tell me, when did your last contract expire and how are the negotiations going?
Our last contract expired in 31 of December 2023. So it's going to be almost 2 years now. And the city is not very open to speaking with us, but we're trying our best. My union right now and myself, what we're really focused on is making sure that the Montrealers are well informed, that they know where the money is being spent, and that the elected people cannot hide behind the fact that they are ignorant, that they were not aware of what was going on, or they were not aware that the city was giving so many external contracts to engineering firms that do not produce quality work.
Gisella Gesuale is president of the union representing municipal engineers in Montreal. Thank you for the interview.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.